What's up, Grizz Nation? It is time for another edition of 3 Point Stance presented by Mountain Dew. We have a special guest joining us today. So I'm Megan. I'm always here. John Roser, I'm happy to have you here. But look who it is. It is Grizzlies assistant coach David McClure is joining the group. We're going to get some stances. But first, David, tell us what life in quarantine life has been like for you.
Ooh, man, definitely doing my best to get a little bit of self-growth in, but it's been a lot, very monotonous. Definitely finding out I'm a creature of habit. So it took me a couple days to find a routine that worked for just what was available and what we had going on. But now that I've got some set of structure going on, I do my best to follow all the guidelines, of course, of social distancing. But aside from the quarantine, I try to get out. Out in the open, out in the fresh air, keep the blood pumping a little bit, get as many workouts that I can while, again, abiding by the guidelines, which is tough for, I think, all of us. So it's, causing us to be a little creative.
How bored are you? Scale of 1 to 10. 10 being, bored off your you-know-what.
It's definitely getting there. I've ran through, I've gone through as much past tape as I probably am going to for a little while now. I've been doing some reading as much as I can. I've gotten advice about Netflix shows and movies to watch. So I after about a month and change, I'm getting to that point where, as you said, out of my you-know-what.
Is there anything that you watch that you're like, you know what, normally I would never watch a show like this, that you're kind of maybe embarrassed that you got to sit down and a chance to watch?
Well, it's funny. I mean, I know we're past the quick surge of it, but Tiger King for sure. It's one of those ones where it was so opposite of what I would normally watch. Even though I do like documentaries, it was just so out there. It wouldn't have been something to draw me in. But and now it's like the more and more we talk about it, it's kind of more like, was that a really good show or a really bad show? I have no idea, but I watched every episode. I like the little the TikToks they got going on, so it's entertaining.
She killed her husband, didn't she?
Oh,
better husband.
It would seem that way. If I was a betting man, I might have a stance.
All right, Dave. So
yeah, 100%. What about? I was gonna say, what about food wise? Like, what is have you cooked anything, or have you done are you just doing like the Uber Eats or the curbside pickup?
It started out being a lot of Uber Eats. I listening to a couple other people, I had heard, just trying to make sure, doing what I can to support some local businesses. And then I kind of heard that the Uber Eats and some of the apps were, might be hurting them even more so. So I try to just call the restaurant and get them to deliver. Mm-hmm. And last 2 weeks, probably just to break the monotony, I've been trying to get back into the kitchen a little myself. I'd say I'm up to about 3 meals, probably 4 to 5 days a week now that, either I or my roommate are preparing ourselves. So we're becoming nice and housebroken.
All right. What's your masterpiece? I like to cook too. All right. Let's say you're trying to impress a date. You're cook for. What is your go-to?
Well, it's interesting because, if I'm trying to impress a date, it would probably be a meal out of turn. Because I'm a big breakfast guy. Love cooking breakfast. So it might be something like breakfast for dinner. I did some baked chicken, panko baked chicken with steamed vegetables the other night, which was nice. I love cooking pasta, but with as little activity as I'm able to do, I try to avoid that during this time as much as I can. So save that for once we get back on the court.
Now, I gotta say, so for most people who are in quarantine life, it's difficult when it comes to hair appointments, nail appointments, I guess for you, barber appointments, but you're pretty lined up looking just like I normally see you even during the season when you were just out and about.
I would say that's the goal. I know, trust me, I definitely miss my barber. I know, if I took all the credit, he'd kill me, but I do the best I can to maintain some kind of grooming patterns as well. When I was in Lithuania, I had hair down past my shoulders. My beard grew out. I think I would be challenging Jonas a little bit. And So now, but when I did finally start cutting it, I don't know how comfortable most people feel about trusting Lithuanian barbers. So I gave it a shot myself. And now in a pinch, in a quarantine, I can kind of keep it respectable.
Okay.
You know how to line yourself up.
Yeah. What can I say?
All right. So since you're good at, being a barber, you're good at being a basketball coach, we figured we would want you to join 3 Point Stance and get your stances on some hot topics. Okay. So let's first start with probably the number one thing everyone's talking about this week is The Last Dance. We got to watch episode 3 and 4 this time. And the biggest takeaway is Dennis Rodman and his lifestyle, and probably that Isaiah Thomas Chicago Bulls, that 1991, when they finally beat them in the Eastern Conference Finals, there was no handshake. What is your stance? We'll start with you on, should there have been a handshake? Should we even still be mad about this handshake?
I mean, at the very most basic level, I think, of sportsmanship, you would have liked to see one, but it's such a different time. I would need more evidence. You hear the evidence from watching the documentary of something I didn't know about. They brought the Detroit reference, the Celtics, and how they kind of walked off after their series, which I don't know whether that's, revisionist history or what, but, that's something that was brought to my attention. And, you don't want to, oh, well, they did it, so now I'm going to do it, because, the way the documentary presented it was Michael always went and shook their hands. But, you're elbowing, you're getting elbowed, you're throwing guys to the ground. It showed, love it or hate it, it showed how much it meant to those guys back then, that they were willing to, 30 years later, however many years later we are now, be viewed as the villains, that they, in the moment, as much as pain as they were feeling, they weighed that option, and here we are, however many years later, still talking about it. So all it shows me is that they really, really loved the game and wanted it, and in that moment, it hurt a lot.
Oh no, and it was like it. I hope a lot of younger people who didn't get to grow up, people that are in their early 20s or late teens, and they didn't get to grow up watching, some 80s and 90s basketball. I know some have grown a different appreciation when people do say it was a different era. And I've talked to people who have said, our own Devin Walker, I've talked to him, he's like, dude, that was a wrestling match. Like, they were fighting each other. Like that, like stuff you could not do today. You talk about walking off the court without shaking it. LeBron did that in 2009 when they lost to Orlando, or maybe it was 2010. Whenever they lost to Orlando in 5 games, he walked off the court, did not shake hands or anything, and he took a lot of heat for it. I mean, what has LeBron taken a lot of heat for?
Right. Yep. And that kind of shows it. It was back then. It was just such an isolated moment. But how many games were we seeing back then that we have no evidence of? Who's to know? I don't know what the trend was back there. We saw how few, like, we see highlights of certain games, but there are 82. Every team played 82 games of every season. How many games did somebody walk off the court, or that we have no idea about? We don't know what, who knows? Maybe in game 2, 1 year ago, in game 2 of the regular season, maybe something happened that made the Pistons want to do it back to the Bulls. I don't know, but you wouldn't see it nowadays, or if you do, as when we did with LeBron, it's a lot bigger now than it would have been back then.
Well, no doubt.
Yeah,
there were no cell phone cameras back then. There were not, there wasn't NBA League Pass to where, there wasn't Worldwide Wob sitting there with 20 TVs with every game on, being able to tweet stuff out immediately.
That's what I love. I'm talking about the Twitter. Like, what would NBA? Like, everybody keeps posting that. What would NBA Twitter do with Rodman nowadays? And it's like,
love it.
Oh man, it would be. It's like, it's not like we don't get it nowadays, but it would have been a lot more entertaining to cover it with Twitter than it was then.
Oh, I think I told some friends the closest thing they asked me, have we seen anything like Rodman since him? And I was like, Artest was probably the closest. Artest was.
Yes. Meta World Peace.
Meta World Peace now.
That's how we know him now.
And I will say, I've heard people asking me and saying, he was overrated, or he was having down years versus his Pistons years, et cetera, et cetera. Like, okay, yeah, from 19 rebounds to 16 rebounds is down, but I just, the thing that I think people don't get is, the fact that yes, he didn't shoot, but when you have back I think this year we had a game where we had 100 field goals, and I remember we made a comment like, "Holy crap, we had 100 field goals in today's game." Like that's the pace of this game is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I couldn't off the top of my head say the average, but I would guess 80, maybe lower on some days with the number of field goals they used to get. You had Jordan taking 35.
Yeah.
You had Pippen taking 15 to 20 sometimes. Where are the rest of the shots going to come? You need a guy out there who's going to say, I'll get 15 elbows and get 20 boards and set 18 hard screens and never take a field goal attempt.
Well, and the most underrated thing about him too, which is why he would thrive in today's NBA. No, he's not going to
as a center.
Do you? Yeah, and he can also
not even a center. Not even a center with Rockets though, because Russell Westbrook couldn't be their center.
Yeah, he could switch and defend all 5 positions. The other thing, that dude could run the floor like a deer.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He will grab a rebound, throw an outlet pass, and he will beat his man down the court still.
Yep. And I challenge you to watch, Megan. Watch. It was a game he played. I can't remember which year it was. This was one of my, and again, you asked if I was bored. Many years in Europe with only basketball practices, you deal with boredom. So I watched a random game, and it was on his birthday. And he was he's like, and it was like, oh, it's my birthday. I'll shoot today. And I think he went like 6 of 6 from 3, just casual. And he was like, just running down, just pumping to the crowd.
Oh, Rodman fist.
And I'm like, it was like 6 of 6. It was almost a show like, yes, I can do this.
I can do this.
Yeah. So who the heck knows?
It was very entertaining to see a lot about Dennis Rodman, especially when it comes to the vacation, the Vegas trip, to the ladies that he was able to get. I forgot about him dating Madonna. I didn't forget about Carmen Electra, and then there's a long list of celebrities that like Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman was the man back then, as crazy as he was with the hair and everything.
By the way, he still got it.
Oh yeah.
I was impressed. I was like, yo.
He I think what was it that you just hit on? When I was watching his documentary, I watched it a couple months before this one, and it kind of just showed just when he found him, it was over. Like,
yeah,
he was just looking for somebody to he was just looking for anybody. And then he found that in Chuck Daly, lost a little bit, and it was Michael, Scotty, Phil, and it was this is the team that's being highlighted. But I'm sure you see any other successful team through the years, there was 1 or 2 guys that may have had a few things brushed under the rug that you look back on 20 years later it wouldn't be the only story in that chapter of the book.
Yeah. So how about we fast forward to 2020? It's a different chapter right now in the NBA league. Something that we are seeing the last couple of weeks is this new G League pathway program with the NBA. We've gotten 3 top 5-star recruits who have decided to not go to college and join the G League. Jalen Green was a big one. And then this week it was Knicks, who decommitted from UCLA. What are you guys' thoughts on this whole new pathway, and what does this just mean kind of overall for the league?
It's going to be interesting to see how it evolves at a very basic level. I'm excited to see how it's going to unfold. I think it shows a lot of promise. The first time I had heard about this was I don't know, maybe maybe 2 World Cups ago when Germany won, and they had discussed how the German game was so pure because they had been kind of bringing the entire nation of German soccer, quote unquote, up together, and having them learn the same X's and O's and principles and defensive strategies, so that there wasn't any kind of reteaching or reprogramming that needed to be done. So they had, talked about it almost being an academy from a young age. And I know we're not there yet, but if I'm sure there are plenty more. There's so much more that they can do with it, but just giving them immediate access to NBA coaches, NBA style of play, NBA rules, the physicality of playing against not as much all the time men now, but more mature young men, so to speak. I think it's got a lot of potential, and it'll be interesting to see how it unfolds and how we handle it, but as an initial avenue to try to grow is if we stand still, it's nothing's good when you try to stand still. Yeah. So the game's changing, the world's changing. I think that if we're constantly looking to evolve and put out a better product, we're doing the right thing.
Yeah, I think I saw that for college basketball. I think I saw that the scariest thing for them about this is if more and more kids do that, is that it's not right now, because college fans are going to have college fans right now. But what happens, in 20 years when you have an entire generation of kids grow up where they grow up thinking college basketball is not the way to go. Right now there's still the overwhelming majority of kids think college basketball. I'm going to go play college basketball, but that may not be the case with another generation that's going to be born here soon.
And maybe, go ahead, Megan. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say that, I think it's always like depending on like what is best for you. And even when you take it back to like what we're seeing, even with the Last Dance, you see players who like Scottie Pippen, who didn't go to like that top school. Dennis Rodman didn't go to that top school. Scottie Pippen was the equipment manager coming out. So it's going to be interesting for, you're probably going to have those top recruits. You're probably going to go professional right away. But it's not going to knock college basketball, because it's still another journey, another opportunity for you to get seen and play, good basketball.
Who I think is going to really challenge is going to be the scouts, because now if that is the case, and, because just like you said, Megan, you might have that guy who goes and spends 3 years and everyone's learning curves on a different pace. So maybe in 3 years he is that guy, but then you're going to have to, then even more so than now, is you're watching this guy who might look great, who's developed so much, but is he playing against the level of talent that is actually, you're getting a good read for how talented he is, even though he's gotten better. So, it's going to bring about some new differences as well, or some new challenges as well. But, all in all, I think it's, as you said, it's so much of it's for them. These guys go and they go for 1 year. That's a whole nother topic as to whether or not you like it, you're for it, is it the best way? I don't know whether they're getting a college experience, probably more than if they don't go. But the big thing that I would say is, I've heard I've had some debates with people, and it said, if it's going to be, they're going to compete, they're going to practice, but it's not going to necessarily count competitively. How creative could you get? Could you throw in, if you are supposed to be in high school, could you throw in a, we're going to give you 2 classes type thing where it's public speaking and money management. So you're actually giving them classes that you can maybe sell it in a way where you're helping them build their brand. You're helping them make them money. Yeah, this kid's in college for 6 months and he's in a drums class, or how much is he going to pay attention? How much is he going to want to go? But if he knows this is going to put money in my pocket, this is going to help me be the best end product for my potential future, employment, that's something that a guy might want to pay attention to. So is that how plausible? Time will tell, but I think there's plenty of ways to get creative.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to our next topic, product creative. A player took the time to get some creative this week was Orlando Magic player Aaron Gordon. He has been in the dunk contest so many times, and I guess he was still feeling it from this year's All-Star game. He did not win again, but he had that amazing dunk over Taco, or some people think it was amazing. So he kind of wrote a diss track kind of talking about that moment. He thinks he should have gotten a 10. There's a music video out. I'm not sure if you guys got a chance to look at it, but what are your thoughts on this whole diss track and Aaron Gordon's maybe rap career? I don't know.
I mean, I thank you for bringing it up, because I've heard so much about it today. I haven't gotten a chance to give a listen to it yet, but it's next on my to-do list. I mean, I think he's got some reason to be putting out a track. He's had some of the most impressive runner-up performances that I've seen, and I don't know whether the judges got tired of putting out 10s or what. But I'm interested to see it. So thanks for pointing me back in that direction.
You gotta watch.
Yeah, I'll say that the beat is terrible. Aaron Gordon's lyrics are not bad. They're not bad, which is surprising because of the world we live in now with hip hop music. But the beat is terrible. But all right, I'll throw it to you like this, because we're not going to get you to get too controversial. But if you were to be in a rap battle with like a teammate or someone. Let's just say it's someone you're close enough friends with to where neither one of y'all are going to get upset, whatever y'all say. Like, y'all both you're good enough friends that you can laugh it off. Who would it be?
Well, I would have to probably omit myself from it, even though I got some good material, just because I cannot rap. But if I had to pick two ex-teammates to go at it, because I knew they actually have serious skills and they're not going to get sensitive. I would love to hear Lance Thomas versus Shavlik Randolph in a battle, because I know they have lyrics for days. They can go over any beat, and they'd get personal, but wouldn't take it personal. So it'd be fun.
Lance Thomas and Shavlik Randolph. I have not heard Shavlik Randolph.
Oh yeah,
and I don't know how long.
If you're talking about creative minds in an athletic person, he was one of probably the more creative minds I've been around. It was yeah. Oh yeah, it was unfortunate. He had some, his body, and he had some injuries that kind of derailed him, but he'll forever be one of the more entertaining teammates that I had.
Shout out to Shavlik Randolph.
And Lance, for that matter.
And Lance Thomas.
Yeah, I can't pick a winner.
I think that I would still love to see you rap, though. Like, we can, it's quarantine. We can make a music. You can make a music video. TikTok is,
It's kind of like in that Little Dicky song when they tell him to put a hook together, and it's they're like, he's like, no, I don't know.
Well, Dave, we appreciate you taking the time to join 3 Point Stands. I mean, I know we don't know quite when this quarantine stay at home is gonna, end. But what's the first thing you're gonna do when you get out of quarantine life?
I wish I had something crazy or exciting to say, but it's probably gonna get over to FedEx and start getting back to work.
Yeah,
it's been too long. I don't think I'm the only one who will say it. I think we all miss basketball.
Definitely missed it a lot. Thank goodness for The Last Dance, though. Thank goodness for The Last Dance.
I'm telling you, if you went back to the first ever time that there was anything in the paper that had anything to do with me, it was me throwing an underhand shot at 4 years old with the front page saying, trying to be like Mike. So I've been waiting for this one for a while. So.
No doubt. I don't even watch any of the previews for the next week's episode. Like, I just wait Sunday, watch blind.
Yep. Nothing. No Twitter. I go dark. No spoilers. Yep. I don't want anybody, because you got people who've seen it and they're dropping little spoilers.
I know.
Yeah. No, I avoid all that. I avoid Twitter during it, and yeah.
Megan knows I avoid Twitter.
Yes, we're working on it. We're working on it. Hey, we got Skype to work today, so I mean, we're making some improvements.
A couple more months of quarantine.
Dave, we appreciate you taking the time for joining us today. We will hopefully see you soon.
Hope so. I definitely do.